Chapter 23. Finding the High Ground. 7th dark day of Cantle 819. 23 days until Sown. The marsh village sits on top of 3 small hills near the Great Tor. Now, at low tide, a stone-lined walkway leads to the first and lowest of the hills. The walkway spirals around the hill on its way to the top. Smouldering remnants of 10 raised houses are all that remain. We wordlessly poke at the embers. The lone survivor is a dog, but he's too scared to come out from underneath the homes. As much as I would like to coax this poor animal out, we have a grim business to attend to. The second hill, a man's height higher than the first, holds raised granaries and a small, now roofless gathering hall behind them. The hill is extra steep, and there is no path up the side, only a pair of bridges, one to the ruined homes and one to the third hill. All the granaries have gouges near their bases, and spilled seeds litter the ground. The thatch roof has collapsed into a smoking mess, and the walls will no doubt follow soon. Not trusting the wrecked interior, our only option is to ease our way between the side of the hall and the hill's steep slope. There is barely a foot's clearance between the wall and a quick drop into the mucky fen below. Arthmael is the first around, and he quickly returns to us. The mystery of the missing townspeople is solved. He puts up his hand to Ysella and Catel. There is no need for you to see it. And why not? Catel demands. She pushes past Arthmael before disappearing around the building. After a gasp, she asks the wind, "What would drive people to do this?" We join her at the sight of the massacre. Ysella hurries to her sister's side. "Come on, Catel. Arthmael meant to be kind. Come away from here." "But why?" Catel wails. We let Ysella escort her sister away from the fallen. Before us are 15 men and 3 boys. All of the men are headless. Most are peppered with several arrows, but none of them with the killing blows. They shot arrows at these men for sport, Eosia says. They were treated like forest beasts. He pulls out one of the arrows. It's another Koratani point. But why would anyone do this? So senseless, Sifra says. What's the motive? I squeeze his shoulder. For food or coin, or because the band was bored. Often, there is no reason at all. It's just what war bands do. These villagers are Silliers. Girthsid and his men are Koratani, Arthmael adds. They're all from Pratani, Sifra says. If not for one tribe attacking another, this island would know peace. But that is not the way of it here, Eosia says. But why do they fight each other? No one volunteers an answer for Sifra. Girthsid has always been quick with his weapons, Arthmael says, but he yearns for wealth and fame. There is no honour in killing a bunch of homesteaders. The tide is starting to come back in, Catel announces. Eosia points to an old man lying face down behind the defending group. There is no blood coming from his corpse. Arthmael leans down and inspects the body. Clubbed, only once in the back of the head. His head must not have been worth taking. From the smell, we are all aware the third island was where the pigs were kept. No doubt he was the last line to keep the marauders from getting to the women and children, I say. He failed, Arthmael says in a detached voice. The bridge still spans the 2 hills. The third hill has a packed earth ramp leading down into the marsh. It had been for the pigs to traverse to and from the mud puddles of low tide. The top of the hill holds the pens, now filled with more victims. The bodies of over 24 women and children lie in the muck, where they were slaughtered. Has anyone ever heard of tribes killing all the women and children instead of selling them into slavery? I ask. Their death is a blessing, Gisela says. I don't dispute that, I say. But why kill every last person only to steal their hogs? This is not what raiders do. Grami's right. They should have taken the women for sport, if nothing else, Arthmael says. Catel shudders. So these people were fortunate? Eosia looks up at Belenos. The road out will be submerged well before nightfall. Let's say prayers to the gods for these poor souls and leave their bodies for the tides and the fish. We don't want to be trapped up here for the night. There's another bridge leading off to the Great Tor. Why did the women not run? I ask. Docile sheep graze undisturbed on the Great Tor of Innis Witrin. They must have waited too long watching their men, Arthmael says. They should have taken the children and run at the first sign of danger, Gisela says. Easy to say when it's not your loved ones. In the end, they paid the ultimate price for their devotion, I say. Why would they take only the pigs and leave the sheep? Sifra asks. The sheep are protected from predators, and they have plenty of grass to eat. Most likely, they were left until the warband grows hungry again, I say. They're coming back, Sifra says, his voice cracking. We should scout out the area instead of blindly leaving this place, Gisela says. I'll go. Before anyone can say otherwise, Arthmael launches himself into the air and morphs into a red kite. Why do all of the plains druids choose the red kite? I ask. Is there a more elegant bird? Gisela responds. It has long, powerful wings that can soar on the wind effortlessly. I follow his flight path, enviously. As a rule, birds lack the capacity for pity or remorse. After what we've witnessed, I wish that could have been me. Arthmael returns. Even if the women and children had fled to the Great Tor, they would have been surrounded by water. They should have kept coracles for their escape. It's all so sad, Gisela says. We can't linger, or we'll be trapped here for the night. Let's tend to the deceased quickly and be on our way, Eosia says. He must have been out hunting, Catel says, pointing at a rider, dressed all in black, at the opposite end of the paved marsh path. The man is sitting on the same grey horse I saw at Men Murkoff Cay 7 days ago. The hair on my arms stands up. Hold! That's the Obsidian Mage. Sifra runs to the edge of the mound, trying to get a better look. The Black Lord makes his way down the path with a methodical pace. The water is starting to inch its way back into the marshes, but it's not enough to bother a trained horse. Arthmael lets out a yell. This is for Sizel! As he starts a steady barrage of slung stones. One of the stones strike true, making contact with the Dark Lord's chest, and the illusion vanishes into nothingness. Look, there, on the Traders' Road, Eosia says. While he was distracting us, Girthsid's warband had been forming up behind the last copse of trees. We're trapped, Gisela says. The Koratani warriors methodically start down the path the apparition had taken. Why don't they charge? I ask. They chose the same approach at Men Murkoff Cay. It's meant to unnerve us, Arthmael says. A frightened mind is easier to control. How long until high tide? I ask. Well after dark, Catel responds. What? She asks, defensively. We keep very close watch on the tides. It's critical to know about them when you're underground. Flooded tunnels can turn into death traps. I raise my hands to show I meant no offence. We'll have to hold them off until darkness, and then try to make our escape, Eosia says. How? Grami and Sifra can't anamorph, Gisela asks. If it's life or death, I can anamorph, I say. I extend my arm out in front of me. It's not much worse than the first day I started under Boswin's tutelage. If we don't do something to slow them down, we won't make it to nightfall, Arthmael says. I can help, Catel says. I look at Gisela, silently questioning what her daft sister could possibly do. she shrugs. Ketel's eyes lock onto the land bridge as she enters into a trance. She speaks too fast in the ancient tongue for me to follow. Small mounds of dirt pop up in front of the horses, and water oozes out of them. In no time, the paved road is submerged, and the warriors halt their advance. Girthsid spurs his horse onward, though its tail is swishing side to side, and it's jerking its head upward at the unnatural rise of water. The poor animal is one surprise from bolting away in fear. Girthsid realizes this too. He calls for a halt, and he and his men retreat back to the Dark Lord. It's frustrating. If only they were closer, we could have urged the horses into a panic. Without a word, the men dismount and tie up their horses. The next advance is on foot. The path is ankle-deep in water now. Ketel's eyes are squeezed shut, and sweat is running down her face. Her whitened knuckles match her robe. The water continues to rise, but not enough to hamper the Koratani's steady pace. Each of Girthsid's men holds a bow above the rising water. "Can you hold the water?" Sifra asks. "Yes, for a time at least," she says, through clenched teeth. "Then it's my turn." Sifra stands next to Ketel and starts mumbling the ancient words while making grand gestures with both of his arms. A column of water grows to 3 times the height of the men. The arms of the water elemental separate from the torso, and it sloshes toward the warriors. They continue toward us, undaunted. "They should have run away at first sight of the elemental," Eosia says. "Magical displays always cause a panic." "They are being controlled by the Obsidian Lord," I say. "We won't be able to scare them off." The elemental pounds the first 2 men into the water. Both remain face down and unmoving. The elemental moves ponderously over the path, drawing more water to it. The water is waist-high around it, and barely puddles elsewhere in the marsh. As one, the warriors put away their bows and draw their spears and axes. The band forms a semicircle around the waterspout and lunge forward. The elemental responds by downing another 2 men, but their attack has been successful. The twisting watery force is now merely equal in height to its attackers. Their orders are to advance to our location. Putting the elemental directly in front of them will cause them to confront it. If you can attack them from the side, perhaps they will focus on moving forward instead, and your elemental will prove more deadly, Gisela says. The elemental collapses back into the water. The Koratani wordlessly put away their weapons. The march resumes, oblivious to their fallen comrades. Sifra, dripping in sweat, is standing next to a red-faced Ketel. "I will try one more time." He wipes his brow and flicks the sweat away. "Can you hold?" he yells to Ketel. "Not much longer." He begins his mumbling and arm gestures again. A slightly smaller waterspout rises from the stagnant marsh and moves toward the single line of attackers, this time from the side. 10 lay unconscious in the marsh, and Sifra and Ketel will soon share the same fate if they keep expending themselves. Girthsid raises his arm to halt. They retreat for yet another plan. "That bought us some time," Eosia says, upbeat. "Sunset is still far off," Gisela reminds us all. "Even when Belanos sinks, we must hold for true darkness to make good our escape," I say. The paved pathway has been swallowed up by the tide, a minor change in our favour. One of Girthsid's men breaks from the circle, draws his bow and shoots in our direction. It lands harmlessly in front of the first mound of the ruined town. "Do they mean to hunt us as if we are game animals as well?" Eosia asks, indignant. "They're mind-controlled," I remind him, but he's still incensed. "The arrow is for the hunting of beasts, not a weapon of war." I don't think he cares about the niceties of warfare. Girthsid and his men start their advance again. One glance, and it's obvious that Ketel and Sifra are spent. What's the plan now? I ask. We make their approach as slow as we can, Eosia says. From the high ground, our slings should be able to reach them before their arrows can reach us. 3 of us will use slings. 2 of us will block any incoming arrows with our staves, and 1 will make ready for our escape to the Tor. Does everybody feel that confident with their staves? I ask. Eosia, Ysella, and Arthmael all answer in the affirmative at once. Very well, Eosia says. You 3 will be our slingers. Great. I've been lumped in with Catel and Sifra. Arthmael, can you prepare the bridges? Eosia asks. I'm on it. Now that action is required, Arthmael is filled with a raw energy. I can learn to like this version. Eosia eyes our enemies. They're still a bit out of range. Grami, why don't you try to talk through the process of anamorphing to Sifra while you have the chance? It may be our only way out of here. Right. Sifra eyes me nervously. I start my lesson with all the optimism I can muster. Watch the birds around us and try to see the world from their eyes. The songbirds keep a watch out for seeds, bugs, and predators in the sky. Once you open your mind, concentrate on your own skin and pull it into the new shape of the bird. Sifra looks like he's constipated. The hard part is the beginning, I assure him. But once you surrender your mental humanness, you can adjust to thinking like and becoming another creature. Sifra hangs his head in shame. Sifra, you are able to call forth elementals from non-living matter, something I have never been able to do. You can do this. Everyone has different abilities, he smiles ruefully. But I will treat this as if it's life or death.